British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Hello. This is Eden Chipperfield, your host for the 3 o'clock news update for BCIT's The Crow. Police in St. John, New Brunswick are looking for 2 suspects after one was arrested who may be responsible for the death of a 20-year-old man who was found dead in his vehicle. At 10:30 this morning, police responded to a shots fired call and then discovered the body of a man in his car. In response to the shots fired, schools in the surrounding area have been locked down, as well as an issued shelter-in-place order to nearby residents. An alert-ready notification has been issued describing the 2 remaining suspects. In Manitoba, 8 children have been hospitalized after a school bus collided with a tractor this morning. The bus was transporting 31 children to school when it rear-ended the tractor who was collecting debris along a road. Both the tractor and bus drivers have been taken to the hospital as a precaution. With bear sightings on the rise in Burnaby, bear safety is more important than ever. Reporter Riley Cunningham explains how to keep yourself safe during bear season.
Bear sightings are back in Burnaby as spring brings warmer weather, and residents are being encouraged to brush up on their bear safety skills. Executive Director of the BC Wildlife Federation, Jesse Zeman, says securing attractants is the best way to avoid bear interactions in the community.
Anything that could bring a bear in to your neighborhood or into your yard is something that needs to be managed. If bears don't have food or can't find an easy food source, they'll continue on.
Being vigilant with garbage, recycling, and compost bins, and keeping debris from fruit trees and bushes clean is an easy way to do your part in keeping your neighbors and bears safe. Riley Cunningham, BCIT News.
I'm joined live in the studio here today with Riley Cunningham herself to speak a bit more about what bear preparedness looks like. So Riley, how does Burnaby handle urban wildlife?
So the city tracks bear sightings around Burnaby and encourages residents to report encounters with bears. They also work with the BC Conservation Officer Service to handle encounters.
Interesting. And regarding residents, how can they kind of keep the bears away from their communities?
You know, prevention is key. So locking up any attractants, keeping them away from where bears might be able to reach them or get to them, and encouraging your neighbors to do the same helps everybody stay on the same page.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much to our reporter, Riley Cunningham, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And back into the news, we have a monumental move for the newly appointed cabinet. An Indigenous person has been sworn in as the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations. Mandy Golmasti is the MP for the Northwest Territories, as well as a former Grand Chief of the Grand Council of Crees. Golmasti replaces Minister Patty Hadju, who has been in the position since 2021. Hadju will now be moved to the position as Minister of Jobs and Families and Minister responsible for Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario. Golmasti will be taking on various uncompleted tasks in her position, including reforming the child welfare system and ensuring that all Indigenous communities have access to clean drinking water. Alberta Premier Daniel Smith's Chief of Staff, Rob Anderson, is not happy with Prime Minister Mark Carney's choice of new Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Julie DeBrusson. Anderson is criticizing DeBrusson for her stance against the expansion of oil sands and reducing fossil fuels. Premier Smith's government has asked for the federal government for unfiltered access to both gas and oil pipelines between coasts, as well as an appeal of the single-use plastics ban. And in BC News, the planned ignitions of 2023 by the British Columbia Wildfire Service has been found reasonable by the Forest Practice Board. The blaze destroyed 40 homes along Gun Lake in the interior, which caused a complaint submission by residents who were affected. In a news release, the Forest Practices Board said the planned ignition compiled with the Wildfire Act due to sound forest practices and a reasonable assessment of wildfire threat. Within the investigation, officials came to the conclusion that without the plan burned, the fire would have spread to the shoreline, affecting the La Joye and Gun Lake population. Surrey Women's Center plans to help more victims in need across the country. Reporter Jeannie Lynn outlines the key issues surrounding sexualized violence on this day.
May marks Sexual Assault Prevention Month in Canada. This year, Surrey Women's Center not only raises awareness, but unveils a new sexual assault prevention facility set to open in November. The organization has a mission of primary prevention by addressing the systemic injustice that creates the atmosphere of violence in the first place. Samantha Gray is the director of sexual assault services at the center. She spoke about the most pressing issues around sexualized violence today.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of mistrust, fear of stigma, of being judged when survivors consider going to police. There is still a lot of work to be done.
Surrey Women's Center currently operates multiple programs to help victims of gender-based violence, such as domestic abuse and sex trafficking. Jeannie Lynn, BCIT News.
To learn more about this important issue, let's speak to Jeannie Lynn, who is reporting live in the studio today. Jeannie, how long has the center been planning this new initiative?
Well, this actually has always been a goal of the organization since they were founded in 1992. But it's in 2023 they received funding from the BC Ministry of Public Safety to fund this program. So that's when their vision kind of came to life.
Interesting, I see. And what are some of the issues that the organization is currently facing?
Well, one of the things that Samantha Gray, the director, mentioned was that because they're reliant on public and government funding, it's not always sustainable, and they always are looking for new funding efforts.
That's great to know. Thank you so much, Jeannie. We appreciate your commentary and your research into this. For the first time in months, the price for eggs have decreased but still remain near record highs. According to the Consumer Price Index report released today, the average price for a dozen of grade A eggs fell to $5.12 in April, after hitting the record pricing at $6.23 US in March. The average price for eggs fell to 12.7%, which is a steep decline from March 1984. Concerns around bird flu are prevalent as the sickness continues to affect egg-laying hens. Nearly 3% of Microsoft's workforce will be laid off. It's the company's largest mass layoff in nearly 2 years. Lisa Dwyer from the American Press has more details.
After Microsoft's sales and profits beat expectations on Wall Street for the first quarter, Microsoft now says that it is laying off nearly 3% of its entire workforce, or about 6,000 people. Microsoft says the layoffs will be across all levels and geographies, but will focus on reducing the number of managers. The layoffs are expected to hit across all parts of Microsoft's business, including the career networking site LinkedIn and the video game platform Xbox. The last big round of layoffs occurred in 2023, with about 5% of the workforce cut as tech companies scaled back from their pandemic-era expansions. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The ex-girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs, Cassie Ventura, testifies in day 2 of the Combs sex trafficking trial. American Press correspondent Julie Walker has more details on the ongoing proceedings.
Cassie Ventura met Sean Diddy Combs in 2005. She was 19, he was 37. He signed her to his Bad Boy Records label, and within a few years, they started dating. In her 2023 lawsuit, Cassie alleges Combs trapped her in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking for more than a decade, including raping her and forcing her to engage in sex acts with male sex workers. Combs settled the lawsuit the next day. She also alleges Combs was involved in blowing up rival rapper Kid Cudi's car when he learned Cudi was romantically interested in her. And she alleges Combs ran out of his home with guns when he learned rival producer Suge Knight was eating nearby. At court in Manhattan, I'm Julie Walker.
BC Lions fans will be entertained by rapper Snoop Dogg as he helps kick off the CFL season against the Edmonton Elks in June. Snoop Dogg will be performing at BC Place to the delight of multiple fans. Tune in for a good show. This has been your 3 o'clock newscast. Tune in for sports at 3:15 with the Italian stallion himself, Gabe Liesi. This is Eden Chipperfield with BCIT's The Crow, signing off. Stay gold.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon, Gabe Liesi here once more with sports for BCIT's The Crow.
Game 4 of the Western Conference second round series between the Dallas Stars and Winnipeg Jets is tonight at 5 p.m. in Big D. The Jets are looking for their first road win of these playoffs to avoid going down 3-1. Head coach Scott Arniel is looking for more consistency as Winnipeg has converted only one of their 13 power play opportunities in the 3 games thus far.
At the end of the day, this group all year long has been able to respond. We have good leadership, and guys recognize that there's areas that we have to be more consistent with. We have to improve on, build on some areas that we were good at. But at the end of the day, this is the one thing about the playoffs. It's the next game.
Meanwhile, Stars defenseman Miro Heiskanen has been activated off long-term injured reserve after 3.5 months. He injured his knee in a game on January 28th against the Vegas Golden Knights and had surgery in February. Head coach Pete DeBoer expects him to play as long as everything went well during today's optional morning skate. Heiskanen put up 50 points in the regular season but missed the last 32 games as well as the first 10 games of the playoffs. Teammate and playoff scoring leader Mikko Rantanen is looking forward to Heiskanen's return.
Just to have his kind of player back in the lineup would mean a lot for us. Obviously it could help us even more. And just it will be a big boost for the team, I feel like.
Game 4 at American Airlines Center begins at 5 p.m. this afternoon. Injured Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender Anthony Stolarz skated this morning for roughly 30 minutes before the rest of his team began practice. Stolarz left Game 1 against the Florida Panthers last Monday after being run into by Panthers forward Sam Bennett. Backup goalie Joseph Woll has been in net ever since. Head coach Craig Berube says Stolarz is recovering well but does not have a set return date. Toronto and Florida are tied 2 games apiece. Woll believes in his team heading into Game 5.
It's playoffs and both very good teams, so you expect a long and a tight series. I think we feel as good as ever, right? We're going to stick to our process and play the same way we have all season and let that take care of itself.
Puck drop is 4 p.m. tomorrow night from Scotiabank Arena in TO. Jumping across the pond for some international hockey now, Team Canada shut out Team France 5-0 at the 2025 IIHF World Hockey Championship this morning. Canada is a perfect 3-0 so far and has conceded only one goal over those 3 contests. Former Canucks captain Bo Horvat potted another 2 goals, bringing his tournament total up to 4. He is 1 point behind Czechia's David Pastrnak for tournament scoring leader. Canada's next game is at 11:20 a.m. on Friday morning against Austria. Taking a peek at the diamond, we are less than an hour away from the first pitch being thrown out at the Rogers Center as the Toronto Blue Jays begin a 3-game series against American League rivals Tampa Bay Rays. Right-hand pitcher Jose Barrios will start for the Jays. Shane Baz will do the same for the Rays. The Jays swept their 3-game series this weekend against the Mariners and are 6-4 in the month of May. On to basketball. The Indiana Pacers have a chance tonight to clinch their spot in the NBA's Eastern Conference Final. They have a 3-1 series lead over the Cleveland Cavaliers going into Game 5. The Pacers won Game 4 129-109, giving them the opportunity to close out the series tonight. Tip-off in Game 5 is at 4 p.m. from Rocket Arena in downtown Cleveland. The other Game 5 tonight will see the Denver Nuggets take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in their Western Conference second round series. The teams are currently tied 2-2 after the Thunder squeaked out a narrow 5-point win on Sunday night 92-87. Both teams will need more from their stars Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander if they have any chance of moving within one spot of the Western Conference Final. Tip-off is 6:30 p.m. tonight in OKC. That's been Sports to 3:15. I'm Gabe Liesi for BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.